Throughout chess history, there have been thousands of tournament victories, but only a handful stand out as truly extraordinary performances that combined exceptional results with world-class opposition and left a permanent mark on the game. Comparing them, however, isn't straightforward. A perfect score in one tournament may not be as impressive as a narrower victory against a far stronger field. Formats have changed, the depth of competition has evolved, and every era presented its own challenges. So for this ranking, I haven't looked at the final standings alone. Each performance is judged on a combination of factors: the strength of the opposition, the level of dominance, the margin of victory, the importance of the event, and the historical weight of what was achieved. No ranking like this can ever be completely objective, but every performance on this list has a compelling case for being among the greatest ever produced. With that in mind, here are the 5 greatest tournament performances in chess history. Number 5. Bobby Fischer, Palma de Mallorca Interzonal 1970. Fischer was in the middle of a bonkers run of form that had begun in the late 60s. He was, quite literally, beating everyone in his path, taking down elite names like Leonid Stein, Samuel Reshevsky, Tigran Petrosyan, Bent Larsen, and Vasily Smyslov with astonishing consistency. Then, in 1970, he produced a result that would shock the chess world. The Palma de Mallorca Interzonal was the qualifier for the Candidates Tournament and ultimately the World Championship, a title Fischer would go on to win just 2 years later. The field was absolutely stacked. Efim Geller, Vasily Smyslov, Bent Larsen, Svetozar Gligorich, Lajos Portish, Mark Taimanov. With a field like that, Fischer was always among the favorites, but the manner in which he won was anything but expected. He sliced through the field with effortless precision. Smyslov, Geller, Taimanov, Gligorich, and many others. By the end, he had racked up 15 wins in 23 games, 18.5 out of 23, winning the event by a gigantic 3.5 point margin. His only loss came against Bent Larsen, but the score alone doesn't tell the full story. His play throughout was that of an effortless genius, carrying out his supreme artistry. His victories over Smyslov and Vlastimil Hort remained positional masterpieces, and his endgame grind against Geller was so clinical it almost feels like something Magnus Carlsen may have taken inspiration from. And this was only the beginning. Palma de Mallorca marked the start of Fischer's legendary 20-game winning streak against elite opposition. The Soviet chess establishment wasn't just watching a challenger rise, they were watching an unstoppable tsunami gathering strength before crashing into the candidates' matches. Number 4. Magnus Carlsen, Nanjing Pearl Spring 2009. Magnus Carlsen had been climbing steadily through the elite ranks in the second half of the 2000s. He broke into the world's top 10 in 2008, and by then he was already the prodigy many believed was destined to become world champion. But his true breakthrough came at Nanjing. The field was formidable. Veselin Topalov, Temur Rajabov, Wang Yue, Dmitry Yakovenko, Peter Leko, an average rating of 27.63. Played as a double round robin, it was one of the strongest tournaments of the year. Magnus started with 2 straight wins and never looked back. Over just 10 games, he racked up 6 victories, beating Yakovenko in both their encounters. His positional gem against Yakovenko showed exactly the level of control and precision he carried throughout the event. By the end, Carlsen had produced a performance rating of 3002, one of the highest ever recorded at an elite tournament. He brutalized the field, winning by an incredible 2.5 point margin and crossing the 2800 barrier for the very first time. It wasn't just a tournament victory, it was Magnus Carlsen announcing to the chess world that a new era had arrived. Number 3. Alexander Alekhine, San Remo, 1930. Alekhine dominated the chess world through the late 20s and much of the 30s. After dethroning Jose Raul Capablanca to take the title in 1927, he established himself as the strongest player on the planet. By the time San Remo arrived, Alekhine was at the absolute peak of his powers. Even so, what he produced there was legendary. Out of just 15 games, Alekhine won 13. He conceded 2 draws, he lost nothing, and he finished 3.5 points clear of the field. And this was no weak tournament. The field featured Aaron Nimzowitsch, Akiba Rubinstein, Efim Bogoljubov, Savieli Tartakower, essentially the entire world elite with only Capablanca and Ove absent. The gap between Alekhine and everyone else was impossible to ignore. His win over Nimzowitsch tells you everything. It was in that game that he unveiled the formation now known as Alekhine's gun. Both rooks stacked on an open file, the queen behind them, squeezing the life out of one of the greatest minds the game has ever produced. More than 90 years later, it remains one of the most iconic games ever played. Max Ove called it the most imposing success of Alekhine's life. And Alekhine wasn't satisfied even then, refusing draws in the final rounds when the tournament was already won. This wasn't just domination, this was a world champion proving there was nobody left who could stand in front of him. Number 2. Fabiano Caruana, Sinquefield Cup 2014. Entering 2014, Levon Aronian was widely regarded as the clear second best player in the world behind Magnus Carlsen. But that narrative was about to change. The 2014 Sinquefield Cup was a 6-player double round robin. According to the St. Louis Chess Club, it was the strongest rated tournament in history, with the 6 participants averaging an unprecedented 2802. The field featured Magnus Carlsen, Levon Aronian, Hikaru Nakamura, Veselin Topalov, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, and Fabiano Caruana, virtually the strongest lineup imaginable. Against a field like this, you would expect an endless stream of draws, with the eventual winner edging ahead by perhaps half a point. Instead, Caruana went on an absolute rampage. He opened the tournament with 7 consecutive victories, defeating every single player in the field, 2 of them twice, including a peak Magnus Carlsen, and left the chess world in complete disbelief. It wasn't just a tournament victory, it was a huge statement, an announcement that Caruana had arrived as a genuine rival to Magnus in classical chess. He finished with a dizzying performance rating of 3103, one of the highest ever recorded in an elite event. But the numbers only tell part of the story. The quality of his play was simply legendary. Just look at his tactical control in his victory over Magnus. What makes this performance even more astonishing is that almost every player in the field was at or near the peak of their career, yet Caruana made them look ordinary, obliterating one elite opponent after another with seemingly effortless precision. Before we move on to the number 1 spot, here are a few honourable mentions that narrowly missed the cut. Bobby Fischer at the 1963-64 US Championship, producing the only perfect score in the event's history, an unbelievable 11 out of 11. Garry Kasparov at Hugwins 1999, dominating one of the strongest tournaments of the era with a remarkable +7 score. Gukesh and Arjun Erigaisi, whose astonishing performances at the 2024 Chess Olympiad played a pivotal role in India's historic gold medal triumph. Number 1. Anatoly Karpov, Linares 1994. Just take a look at the field. Garry Kasparov, Vishwanathan Anand, Vladimir Kramnik, Veselin Topalov, Vasily Ivanchuk, Boris Gelfand, Alexei Shirov, and a seemingly past his prime 42-year-old Anatoly Karpov. The tournament included 9 of the world's top 10 players, with only world number 10 Valery Salov absent. It was, without question, one of the strongest tournaments ever assembled. Karpov isn't usually the first player you associate with an incredible winning streak. His style was built on patience, precision, and slowly squeezing the life out of his opponents. But in Linares, he showed the world a completely different side. Against this absolutely stacked field, Karpov went on a breathtaking rampage, winning 9 of his 13 games, including a 6-game winning streak. He defeated Joel Lautier, Evgeny Barev, Veselin Topalov, Vasily Ivanchuk, Boris Gelfand, Vladimir Kramnik, Alexander Belyavsky, and Miguel Illescas, making some of the strongest players in the world look ordinary. And across 13 games against 9 of the world's top 10, he never lost once. And somehow, the results weren't even the most remarkable part. During this tournament, Karpov produced his immortal masterpiece against Topalov, transforming a seemingly quiet positional advantage into one of the most spectacular tactical finishes ever played. He added several more brilliant victories, including memorable wins over Gelfand, Judith Polgar, and Illescas, a player operating in absolute flow state. When the tournament ended, Karpov had won by an enormous 2.5-point margin. Behind him, in second place, the world number 1 Garry Kasparov. Against arguably the strongest field ever assembled at the time, he didn't just win, he produced what many consider to be the greatest tournament performance in chess history. So according to you, what is the greatest chess tournament performance of all time? Comment your picks below.